Hi everybody, I have a tutorial for you today that will show you how you can take a sample of a bass line and create your own bass instrument out of that by sampling just a single note out of the bass line. And you can find bass lines samples in many places, sample packs that you may have purchased. If you recorded a friend's band or you have some multi-tracks from old sessions that you've created. If you particularly liked the bass sound of a bass line and you just want to snatch one note out of it, this is a quick way to do it. Now, I'm on a Mac and I'm in Ableton Live 9. I haven't installed 10 yet because I need to upgrade this operating system and it's a big pain. But this will work with 10, 9 or 8 pretty easily because we're just going to be using a very simple method on a MIDI track here using a simpler. So if I double click on this MIDI track, you'll notice here a little dialog box at the bottom says drop an instrument or sample here. Now on my desktop I have this trap sounding bass kind of loop, and I liked the tone of this, so I'm going to drag that directly out of the browser and just drop it there, and that's going to load up an instance of Simpler, which is the cut down version of Ableton Live's sampler. If you've got the standard version or the Lite, you'll only have access to the Simpler. If you've got Suite or if you've purchased Sampler, you can even right click on this and convert Simpler to Sampler, which will give you a lot more controls. But for this particular tutorial, I'm just going to use this method, and this is the same as if you went up to Instruments, chose a blank Simpler like that, and then actually went and found your sample and dropped it into this dialog box. Instead of taking those two steps, we did it in one by dragging it in after double clicking on the track. Now, as long as I have the record enable on that track and this little keyboard sign up here, if I had a MIDI keyboard plugged in, I could play that and the notes would play, but I'm going to use my computer keyboard. Let's turn that up a bit so I can hear that. So you'll notice that we're going to get a sample that's only as long as one note. So we are a little bit limited. If you have a longer sample that drones out, that can be good, that can be better, but we're going to see what we can get out of this. I could grab in a drum loop here. I'm going to drop that on an audio track, and I could just play this just by itself. This is what it would sound like. You'll see here, you'll notice that long MIDI note. I've just double clicked on the top there to bring up the piano roll. It went too long and it played the next note in that sample. So what we want to do is, I'm going to delete that. We just want to make this one sample. I'm going to grab the little loop sample length and drag that in, and you'll notice this little magnifying glass. I can just click and drag down to zoom in and drag up. I'm holding the mouse down. So I want to just go in for a bit of a granular level. So we've got it on loop. I'm going to take it off of loop. We're getting a pop at the end because we're missing out on a proper zero crossing. Now, when you have snap on, it will try and automatically find a good zero crossing, but it doesn't always work that well. So I'm going to take it off of snap. I'm going to try and find one myself. There we go. That's working great. So next, we want to make sure that we can conform this to general MIDI so that the notes that we're playing represent the correct note and that it's in pitch. Which is where a lot of people go wrong with sampling, and it's very easy in Ableton Live to go up to the audio effects and grab a tuner and drop it in. Now I'm going to create a blank MIDI block here by Shift Command M, and I'm just going to draw in a MIDI note on C3, which is middle C, for 2 bars long. Okay, so if I double click back onto that track, I'll get my track stripped back, and let's see what note comes out when we hit the middle C. Okay, so it's looking like a little bit of a sharp A. Not quite A sharp, just the note A, and it is 2 sharp. So what we can do with this simpler is we can actually go to the controls here, and we can change the pitch of this. So firstly, I want to get it in tune to the closest note by using this detune, which is in cents. There are 50 cents per semitone, I'm pretty sure, off the top of my head. May be wrong on that, but this is the real fine tuning. So I'm going to tune it to the closest note. There we go. So you get that nice note, and it's an A, so I have to actually bring that up 3 semitones to be a C. So now we've got a C. So that will actually be in tune with any other instrument that I add in. So let me just make a quick bass line here and show you what I mean. So because of the shortness of that sample, it looks like we're only going to get 2 beats out of each note. So there's my little loop. It's a 2-bar loop. I'm going to hit Command D and duplicate that. So if I grab just another random instrument, even from the instrument rack, and just grabbed some kind of a pad. These are all kind of terrible sounds, but I'll just use this as an example. So I'm going to drag that on here. And if I was to then create a MIDI clip here, C minor chord, C, E flat, and G. If you click these little headphones here, you can hear it as you're doing it. So I'm not going to muck around with this too much, but you notice that that's in C, and I'll just get that one chord actually. There we go. Let's have a look. So now we've created our own fantastic little bass sample that's in tune we can use in the song, and we've taken that from a sample. So that's how you do it, folks. I've used this in plenty of compilations where I've purchased compositions, rather, where I've purchased. I use Splice actually. Splice is a fantastic resource for producers, where you access their website and you can pay a subscription per month and download a certain amount of cleared samples. I use them sometimes just for finding good kick drums and snare samples, and sometimes if you're looking for a very particular tone to your bass, like you want the trap bass or something, you can find a really good toned bass, but it's in a loop. So this is how you could really easily just grab that sound, and you can do this exact same thing for kick drums or any other sound that you want to sample. Like if I just create a MIDI track here, double click on it, and then just drop this sample in here. I'm going to mute everything else, but now we've got this drum loop in there. So I'm going to warp that with Complex Pro rather than Beats, so it sounds a bit nicer. So if I just want that first kick sort of sound with a hi-hat in it, so take the loop off. So now if I record, and then you'll see we've got our own drum sample there. So I was playing that off the kick, the click, but if I was playing that with a click, it might have been a bit more in time. So the second half there was a bit better, so I'm going to pop that there. I am going to double click on that, quickly quantize that by hitting Command U. And then I can actually repeat that process if I want the snare. So I'm going to insert another MIDI track, double click on it, drop my sample in, and now I want to grab that snare. So let's just zoom in, make sure I've got it right on the... Where's that snare? That's not the snare. I think the snare is here. Again, find a good zero crossing. There we go. So let's record again. So gonna grab those and Command U, or you can right click and hit quantize there. So gonna trim that. I don't like that last one, so I'm going to delete it. And then now we've got these sampled instruments. They're just like any other virtual instruments, so you can add reverb, delay, whatever you want. So we're peaking majorly on the master bus here. Don't be angry at me. So there you go, folks. That's how the really quick and easy way to sample in Ableton Live. Hope you enjoyed this. If you found it useful, chuck us a like and subscribe to the channel. You know, make sure if you've got any questions about this, or you need me to clarify anything, send me a message or pop a comment below. All right, thanks everybody. Bye.